guys! So today's video is gonna be a very much awaited on my part, because that's the kind of videos I like to do most, what I read. So I haven't been reading as much as I would have liked to because of my mental state and because I was traveling. I was back in the south of France, actually was back as well last weekend, and classes have started again, which I mean, I'd only have like 3 classes, so it's not much of a big deal, but you know, all the paper stuff and whatnot. So anyway, I thought I would talk with you a little bit about the books that I've been reading, and also in case you guys aren't gonna watch the video till the end, I'm also gonna talk about the book club that I have, which started very well, but then suddenly everyone sort of disappeared. So I mean, it's fine if no one's interested, but you know, I have a book club. It's on Goodreads. If you want to check it out, check it out. So the first book I'm gonna talk about is Le Sud et autres fictions de Borges, basically a compilation of short stories, and I'm gonna be honest, I was not impressed at all. I've heard only positive things about this author, so I thought maybe either those were a question of the short stories being not the best, or maybe me being not in the best mindset when I was reading them. I don't know, but I didn't like the themes, I didn't like the style, maybe the traduction wasn't very good either, I don't know. Then I read Headscarves and Hymens, Why the Middle East Needs a Sexual Revolution by Mona El-Tahawi, who is an Egyptian female journalist, writer, feminist activist. I know that she's a bit controversial. Some people think she's a bit too extreme and a bit too negative in the way she perceives and also depicts you know, the Middle East and the Arabic world and that sort of stuff. Personally, I have to say I completely agreed with her book. I found it to be very much yeah, a reflection of what I also think. I think she's coming from a place where she has experienced a lot, obviously, and she knows a lot. So I don't think we should ever, you know, criticize her for being too extreme or too radical or too negative, because obviously she comes from a lot and her intentions are in no way to make, you know, Muslims or the Arabic world or the Middle East or the North of Africa appear badly. She just wants to change things for people and women, and I think she's very interesting because she links religion and culture and symbolism and symbols very well, and she explains very well why symbols are very important when they are part of a bigger scheme. And I think I'm gonna do a video on cultural relativism soon as well, because she inspired me to talk about it and reflect a little bit more on that as well. And she's also very interesting because she links also very well the different fights, like the fights for equality, for more rights, and with feminism, how feminism is important not only for women but also for everyone else, and how it can affect and change societies. So that was a very interesting book that I would absolutely recommend. I'm not saying you have to wholeheartedly agree with everything she says. You know, individuals are individuals and you might disagree with the way they say things or a few points here and there, but I think it's very important to concentrate more on why they're saying the things they're saying and what it is that they're saying instead of how they're saying it. I read Germinal by Zola. So you know, my love for Zola is a never-ending love, and it's, you know, a great source of joy for me. Basically, whenever I don't know what to read and when I'm like, what should I read, I pick up a book by Zola and it's wonderful. This one is a huge classic. It's probably the one that many people start with, and I would not recommend doing so. It was a very interesting book. It was very well written, as always. The topic and the matters present in the book are also very interesting and crucial, and they're so accurate. And I think even though it was written at a completely different period of time, it's so relevant to nowadays society. So I think it's a very interesting book to read. Then I read Deuil et Mélancolie by Sigmund Freud. So I'm not sure how it's translated into English. I think, I don't know, but in German, which is obviously the original title, it's Trauer und Melancholie. So it's basically about grief and melancholy, in case you had not guessed. It's a very short book. It's a small little essay about how melancholy and grief sort of work in similar ways, and how you can learn from one another, from one looking at the other. I like psychoanalysis a lot, so it's always interesting for me to read things by him, and I think it puts things into a great perspective. And if anything, I would encourage anyone to research a little bit of psychoanalysis, because you might not agree, and I mean, there's not only Freud, obviously, but you know, it's great, and I think it's such an interesting thing. Like, for me, it's one of the most impressive and amazing science ever, because it's so, I don't know, you have to be so smart. In my opinion, you have to be so smart to put things together and link things like that. Not to say that I agree with everything. There are many things I disagree with in psychoanalysis, and especially in Freud's theories. But it's so interesting and so fascinating to me how a simple mind, a human mind, could come with all these theories, even though obviously they were sort of present before, especially if you look at for example, Greek plays and Greek literature and philosophy. Lots of those concepts are present somehow, but they're not explained and theorized like Freud did, so that's very interesting. I read bits and extracts and little things by Georges Hénin, who is an Egyptian surrealist writer whom I'm gonna work on for my dissertation this year. And he is Egyptian, but he was writing in French, which makes it somehow a little bit easier and more interesting for me, because I have access to the original work. And you know, surrealists, they didn't really like novels. I mean, they really didn't like novels, especially Breton. He was like, no, we won't do novels. So they wrote poems and little short texts, but poems that are not the traditional poems. Obviously, they're prose. It was beautiful. It's amazingly well written. It's so little known. Egyptian literature is actually so rich and wonderful. So I encourage anyone, you know, interested in literature and discovering new things, you know, researching a little bit that. Georges Hénin is an amazing writer. I feel like his poems were very interesting. They're very surrealist. Obviously, I love them, and they have a grace to them. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And the book is huge. It's actually not only the poems, don't be scared, it's all of his work. So yeah. Okay, last but not least, I'm almost done with it, but I'm gonna include it in the video anyway. I read the Encyclopedia of the Dead by Danilo Kiss. I'm sorry if I'm saying it the wrong way. That's the book we're reading this month in my book club, and that's amazing. So when I picked this book, I was like, I have no idea what this is about. I don't know the writer. I just know that it's so foreign and to me that I have to pick it up, because apparently it's good. Apparently it's a wonderful work of literature, and I need to expand my horizon. So I'm so glad I did. It's basically short stories, but they're very, first of all, they're very short. Second of all, they're very strange. And it's nothing you would expect. It's not the typical sort of stories. It's very, very, very short segments and bits and pieces of lives of individuals that have not existed or might have existed. It is not very realist in a way. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say there's a lot of magical realism to that, because it's not really what it's about, but it's very eerie, it's very special and interesting. The writing style is beautiful. It's a wonderful work of both style and imagination. Like it comes up with stories and ideas that could be turned into novels, but it chooses to just keep it short and in a few pages, which makes it even more intense in my opinion. So I hope you enjoy watching this video, guys. I hope this was interesting for you. Let me know what you've been reading, and I hope to see you on my book club page, and I hope we can all read together. Next month we will be reading I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, which is a bit of a classic, but I haven't read it yet, so I thought I would throw it in there. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I shall talk to you later. Bye!